All right, everybody. Hey, this is Mike Rambo, the music director for the Collective Choir, and we got a really exciting night for you. I'm just going to take this off. I always forget about that when I'm talking with people on a screen, and you don't need a mask. So tonight we have an interview and listening session with the top 2 contestants. The third contestant, Foster, he's in Maui, so he's not going to be joining us. We'll all be thinking about him. And, but we're super excited to get together, talk about music, talk about life, and just hear in from some of the talent in Eau Claire. That's what we were doing, and we had this neat contest. It was for the release of our single, and that is called This Is the Day. And we basically gave people free ride. Whatever you want to do with it, you just got to use some audio bits from it and then make it your own. So we're super excited to dive in today, and we'll tell you more about it later. But for now, just relax, and we're going to get rolling in about 5 minutes or so. So just in case you're just joining us.
Everybody lift your eyes. Today's a new day. Collective Choir. This is the day. This is the day.
Okay, so that's going to
Come on. This is the
Is there a way for me to
Shane, tell him how it is.
Feel the wind hit my lungs.
Like
God sustain. Give you life, I give you praise.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Brokenness from where I've been.
Yay!
Shout it out, I'll sing. And give us life. Lord, help us know. We press on, you mark the way. Carpe diem, we seize the day. Clear the way, watch and pray. So we say, church.
This is the day.
You might have to, if I don't make it, you might have to comment yourself. But you just basically go online.
It's all a part of his plan. So don't you worry about it. Listen.
Go away. Where's your life?
Where is my life?
Right here.
Found my life.
Every day your mercy's new. You give a new mind, a new view. The missiles that the devil threw, I'll overcome.
I'm born in you. Today I'm not held by fear. The tyrants of this age will hear. The powers of hell or present pains. Your victory's coursing through my veins.
There's purpose, every
Breath I take, I'll cling to you. My soul awake.
your praise is all.
My tongue I make. Persistent faith, the chains will break.
Yesterday,
Has come and gone. Forget the past. I'm pressing on. To I'll get the prize. Lord, help us realize. This is the day. This is the day. This is the day. Come on, help me save people. This is the
On my phone? Well, I could probably plug it in.
You can go. He's for you. I will enjoy.
You feel like you can be like the soccer family that's your
Brothers and sisters,
You seem irritated.
no matter what you're going through today, no matter
Hey, you know what you do?
today, let's go.
Alright. Just about there.
Come on, people. Reach
Tyler,
out.
I think I'm going to have you sit here. And I'll just walk around this way if you want. Unless you have great pockets.
Gonna walk this out.
Totally.
Oh, he's got, oh, look at that. American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah. Now you have to do like a.
American
Of course he
Ninja
does.
Warrior.
Of course he does.
I have to step over things a lot. Yes. I assume use it for something.
Almost done. 30 seconds left.
There's purpose in today.
Yeah, I'm just trying to distract. So if they get a little.
If you walking in his way,
Yeah.
so what you
All
gonna
right.
do?
Maybe we can toggle to me first. And let's go from
Is this on Facebook or YouTube?
there. Yes. Yes, it is. Hey, everybody. This is Mike, and hey, you're welcome to hang out if you want. Yeah, that's good. Everybody, that's Logan and everybody. So we're here with the gang, and I am just so excited. By the gang, I mean the collective choir and the remix contest finishers. I did it again with that mask. These are the top contestants. We had a panel of 5 judges, and because I'm just that fancy of a person. Ooh. All right. Just so you get a picture. So there's Davy Jones, who's a local musician and a songwriter, and he's really a procurer of the arts. He loves bringing people together with music, and so he sat in. Evan Middlesworth from Pine Hollow Audio, but more recently with his work at the Pablo, and just an amazing man, amazing engineer and producer, multi-instrumentalist. And then there was Alyssa Toms, who's played in a few different bands in the local area with her husband, Adam. And both of them have probably been to your gig because they're so supportive of the local musicians and artists. And so I just, they're team players, and I loved having her on board. Noah Estrada, local hip-hop artist. I got to meet him, I think when he was like 16 or 15, and I remember rapping in our basement, but just seeing how he's matured as a writer, as an artist. He already had a good thing going, and so we're excited to have him on the panel. And then Matt Mattoon from Renwood Messenger down in Kenosha, and he's helped out a lot in the local area. He's also on the collective choir production team, and just really has helped mature me. He's been a mentor of mine and matures our sound. So it was great to have his ear. And so without further ado, I just further introductions here. That's Harmony, by the way. Hi everybody, if you're there.
Oh, we can't see my face.
Yeah. And we have Tyler over here. He goes by TeawhYB, and just loved getting to know your music so far, and I'm excited to dive in a little bit more. And then we have Zechariah over here as well. And Zechariah is a local producer and musician as well, and family man, and just community member. He's a great team player, and I just love the humility, but also the heart that he has for people and for God. And so that's just been amazing. Well, what you were just listening to on the way in, if you were tuning in today, was the single that the collective choir released on the 17th of April. And so very excited to have that out, and because we believe that it was a song that was for today. And a song that when you got up in the day could help you take the day with a positive attitude, with the lens of faith and not with fear. And I think every day we're faced with and we're bombarded with fear, and I think it's important to keep in perspective that God is in control. And that was the single that we released. And so we wanted to open up and kind of unearth and discover new people that we hadn't met, especially during COVID, when it's just hard to network. And so we released the single remix contest, and there was a variety of ways that artists could take that in. And we're going to talk about some of those today in context. But before we do that, I just want to ask the first round of get to know you questions in case you have no idea who's here and what's going on. But if you're tuning in, can I say hi, Tyler?
Yeah.
Awesome. So
How we doing, Mike?
I'm doing amazing. It's been a crazy last 24 hours getting this together, and thank you for your help with that on the back end, some press and everything.
You know it.
So we got the results and everything. Before we get into any of that, can I just ask, give us a 30-second nutshell of like a zoom through music into where you are now?
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction. Thanks for having me. So my name is TeawhYB, and that is TeawhYB, and what that stands for is through every action, who has your back. It's a motto that I've lived my life by, not only when people, things are going well and everybody loves you and everything like that, but it's when things are not going so well and people have to be honest with you and give you constructive criticism and make you a better person. So in my opinion, that's how people can have your back, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, definitely. But I'm an alt hip-hop artist. I'm originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I've traveled all over. I've done a lot of different festivals and different things like that. I've been doing music professionally for about 4 years, and super excited about this collaboration, and I saw it as a challenge to myself as a musician, because it's not something that I typically dabble in, the sound and stuff like that. But so glad I did, and that's how miracles happen.
Yeah, awesome. And we have Zechariah Putney, the
Hello.
splash into music to kind of where you are now, and whatever, 30 seconds ish. Yeah.
I don't know. I've been playing drums since middle school, and play some guitar and piano, and I just like music. I like listening to it and engaging in whatever way I can. I got a recording degree from North Central University, and I've been doing a little bit with the choir and editing and mixing, and yeah, that's where I'm at now.
I love it. And you're here. You're not in Eau Claire, though. I mean, you are.
Chippewa.
Basically, yep, Chippewa. And so it's been great. And actually, truth be told, and I don't know, Julie, can you point to the camera just so I know where I'm talking into it? You can tell me which way to look.
Oh, yes.
You can tell we do this a lot. And so, but Zechariah and I started working together almost a little over 2 years ago, and he's actually a member here at Valley Brook with his family, and we visited with the choir, and he got to drum with us, but we had lunch and got to hang out with his boys, and we hit it off there. And Zechariah's actually been helping out on the back end with a lot of the choir stuff, and on the front end is a drummer, and his wife is now singing as well. So it's really cool that we could actually work on these tracks and then give Zechariah the chance to put his own spin on it. And so far we've been working under the gun and with kind of a vision in mind. It was fun to see something that was from your construct in this context too. So really cool. Very excited today. I love music and the collaboration. One of our hopes with this was actually to discover community. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a musician, and as a music director, I've had to go on a campaign to eliminate do-it-yourself mic because we are better together. And so in this, we were able to get some support from Charter Bank. Thank you so much. And we were also able to get some help from the community. And we wanted to reach out and meet where people are at. First of all, when you approach this project, can I just ask this, Tyler, when you approached this from your experience, you said it was a different style than you're used to. It was a challenge, and we're also going to get into a little later kind of a deeper reason why you wanted to cross into this and jump in, and I'm really excited to be here for that. But what were some immediate thoughts that you were, as you were kind of chewing on the new sound, what were you kind of working with, and what was kind of inspiring to you? We're gonna hear that in a second too, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So just a kind of a backstory of how I encountered this. I had heard of Collective Choir before, just through rumblings and different events that I saw in Volume 1 and event calendars and stuff like that. So that was my familiarity with it. But somebody had sent me an email with the competition and stuff like that, and then I had saw it on a Facebook ad, and I was like, you know what? I have some time. Why don't I try it out? Give it a listen, and test it out. And I played the original song and I loved it, and then I wasn't sure of how the remix was working and what I should and shouldn't do, and so I was kind of I put it aside and I was like, no, I'm just gonna keep working on other stuff. But I was listening to a lot of Justin Bieber and a lot of Chance the Rapper and stuff one day, and I threw the instrumental back on. And immediately I went back up to my studio because I record at home. I recorded the first verse and I just freestyled it. It was just, I felt it. It felt right. And the choir just really inspired me, the harmonies and everything. And I went upstairs and I did it. And I was like, I might have something here. So I got really excited, and I talked to my buddy Justin Anderson, who's an engineer and a producer, and he works at the Pablo and stuff like that, and I kind of trust him with my music and my sound. Yeah. And I was like, what do you think? And he's like, if you're feeling it, keep going. Just keep going. So the rest is kind of history. I worked with him for about a day on the song because I finished the first 2 verses, but he was talking about keeping the energy alive throughout the full 5 minutes of the song. Yeah. Because there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of inspiration that happens, and the song builds, and everybody's having fun, and woo, we're laughing, we're having a great time, and I really wanted to be a part of that. Yeah. And so we kind of worked together in the studio and built something to kind of help MC through the rest of it and make it a complete song. That wasn't just it's a remix and it's and then it's the rest of the choir. No, I'm engaged throughout the whole thing. Yeah. So content-wise, it wasn't really much of a challenge. This is not the themes that I typically go with, but my music is all about love and positivity and having fun and dancing and stuff like that. So it just gelled. Yeah. It gelled really well, and I'm so happy with the outcome. Yeah. And we're gonna have a chance in just a second to dive into that. So everybody approaches things differently, and sometimes it's pulling things from your surrounding. I think that's every day is a different flavor, and you might be feeling it different every day. Yeah. And that's so fun to hear. And I'm gonna maybe listen to a little more Justin Bieber after tonight. Sure. He's good.
You kind of see
great.
where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I love listening to vocalists particularly, and because you hear inflections of what they're surrounded with, and what you're hearing there. So, and Zechariah, you took a different approach, but you actually got a chance to work on this with the tracks and kind of see it come to completion. So you already had quite a context, but tell us about your approach to what you kind of wanted to bring into this from your background and what you were passionate about. Sure.
Yeah, I guess I leaned a little on my history in radio. I've done some editing on radio shows up in the cities in the past, and just taking interviews and chopping them up, finding the most interesting things, and finding a story, making things fit together, out of a 30-minute interview into 6 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And because the collective choir does an event every year with Martin Luther King Day, I had the idea to use his speeches and make that connection.
Yeah.
To kind of tell a story through. I used 2 of his speeches. One was the I Have a Dream speech, and then another one that was a few years later on a Christmas Eve. He kind of spoke about giving that original speech and his thoughts later on and how it's affected his life.
Yeah.
So bringing those together and kind of telling a more complete story with that was interesting to me.
Yeah. Certainly a man that had his own struggles, but seized the day, like in his own right and calling. So, yeah. Let's actually work in inverse order, and then we're gonna kind of talk through this. And so, we're actually gonna do let's do our first listening, and we're gonna go through and. I told the guys that instead of just kind of talking over the top, we decided that we're gonna pause and just make any comments as we would, and then we'll continue. If this really jostles your jar, I don't know what that means, but it both started with a j sound.
The dad jokes continue.
Yeah. So if you don't like this, you can go to our website, collectivechoir.org, and we have in the contest menu, you're going to see a poster there. You can go right in, and you can hear the top 3 contestants, and you can listen all the way through without interruption. You can make your own comments, maybe record them, send them to us. But here we're just going to stop and start so that we can kind of chew on this as we go. And so let's get into our first listening, and we'll start with Zacharias. For you guys to hear it, we just got these guys here. So just give me a little flick, and we'll go up.
The joyous daybreak. To end the long night.
So not to pause it right away, but since we're on Justin Bieber, he actually sampled Martin Luther King Jr. on his latest album. So it's all coming together.
Yeah, I think it is. Right here, like
right here, right now. This is the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
This is the day. This is the day.
It will be a glorious day.
This is the day.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. That one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, I have a dream that my 4 little children.
Yeah.
So there's one of the comments I got on this was that what MLK is saying and what the choir is saying don't quite match up, because he keeps saying one day these things will happen, and the choir is saying this is the day. There is a tension in our faith between the already and the not yet. Christ has come to us, Christ is coming, and there's hope in what is coming. I obviously not all of it is here yet. Not all of what he said has come to pass.
Yeah.
But we still have hope in those things, and we see to a degree some of what he was calling for happening as well.
Yeah. And a summon too, I think, to action.
Yeah.
You know, saying, hey, you see the hope of this reality. We can begin to be that reality right now.
Let's make this the day.
Yeah, let's make this today. Well, let's keep listening.
Will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream. Little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
I was just pointing that this is the day.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I was doing the hand motions. You know, I talk with my hands a lot. But,
Recapitulate a little bit. Yeah, I think that's great.
I love the point that you guys.
And I must confess to you today that not long after talking about that dream, I started seeing it turn into a nightmare. It was when 4 innocent Negro girls were murdered in a church in Birmingham, Alabama. I watched that dream turn into a nightmare as I moved through the ghettos of the nation. I watched my black brothers and sisters in the midst of anger and understandable outrage, their disappointment turned to misguided riots to try to solve that problem. But in spite of that, I still have a dream.
This is the day.
Because you know you can't give up in life. If you lose hope somehow, you lose that vitality that keeps life moving. So today I still have a dream.
That I really like, even thematically in the original song, we kind of juxtaposed two ideas. One was more the refreshing get up in the morning feel, you know what I mean? Like where it's not go lucky, but it was definitely like let's take this in, let's do this. But then you have the reality of some of the giants. You have the reality of some of the challenges that face you when you head out the door, or even when you turn on the news or whatever you have. And that was more the second verse, really had like a darker or more warring type of feel or theme to it, where it's like, you know, that reality. And I thought that thematically, how you pulled that in with his speeches. And that's not necessarily the way you would want to go. Like, as far as if you were in a rhetorical form,
Sure.
you would probably start with the crisis and then move on to the
To end well. Sure.
To end well, yeah. But we're going to see how this kind of ends up as we get into, I don't know what you call this as a songwriter. We sort of have a breakdown for a bridge, but then we just go into this ending sequence. And that's what I like about gospel, is you don't really have rules, like, you know, in the pop writing sequence. And also when we get to Tyler's, like, that challenge of keeping that energy the whole time. And so let's see where this turns, okay?
Men will rise up, come to see that they are made to live together as brothers. I still have a dream this morning. One day, every colored person in the world will be judged on the basis of the content of his character rather than the color of his skin. And every man will respect the dignity and worth of human personality. And brotherhood will be more than a few words at the end of a prayer, but the first order of business on every legislative agenda. I still have a dream today.
I just gotta say how much I've been very frustrated with the image culture. In that, in one way we can communicate certain things, but as I'm listening to the words of Martin Luther King, like, I'm feeling so much tension. You know, can we judge by the content of character rather than the outward appearance? Or, as we're going to get into, stereotypes later, you know, that Tyler is bringing to the table here too. And so those words just rang with me so powerfully. I just couldn't not say something about it. And I think we could use a good dose of this. What would it take today to dive into understanding other people's character, to observe them from afar rather than quick, convenient judgments or, you know, stone throwing, things like that. And so I was just really, yeah, I love that. So.
One day, justice will roll down like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. I still have a dream today. In all of our state houses and city halls, men will be elected to go there who will do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with their God. I still have a dream today. That one day war will come to an end, that men will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. And nations will no longer rise up against nations, neither will they study war anymore. I still have a dream today. That one day the lamb and the lion will lie down together, and every man will sit under his own vine and fig tree, and none shall be afraid. I still have a dream today. That one day every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill will be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked...
Was there something? Did you get something?
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So as I barely am hearing this song.
Doesn't have headphones for context, yeah.
Thank you for trying.
Yeah, working on it.
But it didn't hit me before, but now like listening to this and with Martin Luther, he spoke a lot about love and loving your enemies and things like that. And then I feel like there's like this is the day. This is day one. This is where we start.
Yeah.
And we start by loving each other instead of like hating each other. Because the person is not your enemy. It's something more than that.
Yeah.
So.
And not only can you start today, but it's also kind of like a clean slate. I mean, we get a new decision. Like, because I probably screwed it up yesterday in some way, and I probably screwed it up the day before in some way, probably even this morning. But this is the day can start right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great. So really cool. Well, let's wrap that up. Thank you for sharing, Harmony. Yeah.
I just thought I was. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
places straight. The glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. And with this faith, we will be able to adjourn the councils of despair, bring new light into the dark chambers of pessimism. With this faith, I still have a dream.
I love the ending. It's it's a phrase we've all heard and that we resonate with, and to end on that is pretty powerful.
I think even the inflection of his voice on that particular phrase.
Yep. It wasn't the exuberant one that we're used to, which I think was on Capitol Hill or at somewhere in Washington D.C.
Mall,
and it was very not aggressive, but very pronounced.
Yeah.
And this one was a little more happy-go-lucky, a little more eased.
And couched, I think, in joy too.
Yeah.
There's a joy that goes deeper than the temporal happiness, that you have there. And I think as a vocalist, you probably would agree. How many takes have you taken and you're like, the inflection's not quite what I wanted to communicate.
It's about 90% of what it actually is.
Yeah.
The inflection and the right tone and the right
Yeah.
dialect. Sometimes the words aren't as important.
Yeah, right.
And there's some people that can say anything and just have you wrapped. Your rapt attention.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Also helps
he's
have
definitely
an
one of them.
Yeah.
Helps to have an accent,
It helps have
like a
that.
British accent.
Yeah.
Big Ed Sheeran fan over here.
All right, so really quick, who's an actor whose inflection pulls you in?
Morgan Freeman.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yes, that is good. He took my first one.
Christopher Walken.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
B?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you jumped in before, so
Ian McKellen.
Okay.
Sure.
As Gandalf.
Yeah.
As Gandalf.
Yeah.
This is specific.
Yeah.
That's me.
Like Myers.
Oh,
Sure. Yeah.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Liam Neeson.
Yes.
There's just a certain intensity that he brings to it, especially when he's in his like homegrown accent. Like there's just something about it. I just love it. So we're gonna get into your song, but Tyler. But before we do that, I actually think we'd appreciate it more when we think about this this little journey, because I think first and foremost that you are one of the most courageous people that I have met this year.
Those big words.
Yeah.
It's already May.
Yeah. Yes, it's May. Right. But just as an aside on inflection, I'm just going to say before I forget about it that I really love the inflection that you brought into this as a part of how you're communicating that joy, communicating that kind of lightheartedness. One of my favorite proverbs in the Bible is that to the merry at heart, life is a continual feast. And I just kind of got that sense as I was starting to get into your music and starting to get into just a general flavor of where you're going. But definitely as I'm listening to this, there's that invitation that I heard to kind of join you on the dance floor,
Exactly.
as it were.
Yep.
So that's really cool. But before we dive into that, one of the reasons I said that I think that you're one of the more courageous people that I've met this year. First of all, I really believe that my wife is fierce and courageous as well. A few other people that have been courageous in my mind. I'm just talking in the immediate community. Has been, Pastor Paul, where we're at, diving into some deep conversations from a Christian-based perspective, and basically everybody who is a business owner and pressing on into this year with hope, because the ticker hasn't stopped yet. We're still here. But the reason I really wanted to point out your courage is you started in our conversations. You started to see this silent gap, and I'm going to let you talk about it. But you actually crossed the street proverbially over to us with something deeper in mind as well. And so I'm going to let you talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So, well, thank you for your kind words, firstly. So, yeah, I guess just to kind of start the conversation and provide context and also to be blunt about it. So I'm an openly gay man. I have been for about 8 years now. And, initially when I heard about the project and the collaboration, I think I was a little hesitant. Just some of the, kind of like what we talked about, the unconscious gap between the LGBTQI plus community and Christian faith. I think there's been some some misrepresentations, you know, on both sides, and just in terms of my personal experience with Christianity hasn't always been a positive one, just with opinions on how individuals should live their lifestyle, or believing that there is a choice in that even. So there was some hesitancy about jumping in this project for fear of being denied, for fear of you know, maybe that being a problem with the collaboration, or maybe myself not being welcome. And so I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous about it. Even some of my friends, when I talked about, oh, I'm just gonna do it, and they're like, oh, that's not really you. That's not really your style. That's not really what you associate with, or you know, stuff like that. And that really stuck with me, because it was kind of like, well, why not? Why can't I be invited? Why can't I be at the picnic with everybody? And why can't we just you know, share love and join in music and create something really beautiful that you know, anybody can listen to and be happy with, and experience that happiness that we convey through the song. You know, the choir built the circle for the dance, and I just kind of came in the middle and did my little thing, and then we brought everybody else in, and we all got our own turn. So yeah, you know, there is kind of this, I think one of the beautiful things in my conversations with you, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really nervous on the phone. I'm like, well, just so you know, like, you know, and you were like, bro, like, what? Like, we good, you know? So
You don't know how long I waited before I pressed dial. I mean, because you're like, you know, there's that, there is fear involved. There's the unknown. It's like that fear of rejection, that fear of, you know, what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yep. And you know, I have to, you know, just to be upfront too, like, I have a lot of friends that are devout, and they're, you know, they go to church on Sundays, every Sunday, and that's never been a problem for us, you know. So I don't know why I expected it to be any different, but you know, there's different groups and ideas and ideologies between all different walks of life, and you know, likewise, I think, you know, a lot of individuals in the LGBTQ community can be hesitant to accept individuals for their faith as well. And I think it goes both ways, where, you know, the acceptance has to work both ways. But if there's no hate involved coming from either side, we can all just live in unity and in sync. And you know, I think that's the beauty of it, being one big community as opposed to separate communities.
Yeah. A lot of communication, and I don't prefer it, but in this last year has really been siphoned down to Facebook. And I can't actually think of a worse medium to actively engage in difficult conversations. There's something about those hidden walls that you can just conveniently throw stones on, and it's just so easy to be sucked into some of that negativity and all of those conversations. And I'm sure I was like, what? On some comments, and it's like, oh, do I need to send that?
Right.
Maybe sent one of those, and I'm like, dang it, I'm really sorry.
We're all guilty.
But inside of that, I really feel, in some negative ways, we've been trained on having our satchel of stones to begin some of those conversations online.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that there's hesitancy and fear when we actually are in person. And yet, one of my good friends over those last 3 years, she said, I think a lot of the angst we feel in society, the solution's actually a few cups of coffee, where you can approach that, and instead of inflicting our immediate grounded belief, or maybe based on some stereotypes that we carry or we project onto that other person, that we maybe should be asking, how did you get to where you are? What informs your worldview right now? Like what people, what life circumstances and places you've been, books you've read, things like that. It's like, and then you get a kind of a deeper context. And what's interesting right now too is another theme that I really feel, and we talked a little bit about this, but is this notion that we need to all believe the same. I don't know if you've seen that. And I know definitely from a Christian standpoint, that's been one of the monsters hiding in the closet of legalism, saying, nope, everybody needs to be just like this, and we polarize, and you say you're either this or you're that, and it's just so much more diverse and colorful, even inside of a particular body of belief or worldview. And then so much more so when you invite, the conversations of the world around us. Can you talk a little bit more about some of the, I guess, if you will, maybe some questions that you would like to ask as you enter into this? You stepped onto the dance floor. You've already shown more than some people that say they follow Christ, that you don't come with hostility, but you also don't come as a blank slate. You have questions, you have things like that. Can you, if you would, if you feel comfortable, just some questions that you might like to bring to the table? We don't have to answer them tonight, but I'd like to hear rhetorical questions, coming into a Christian context. Of course, the collective choir being, our mission is to collectively proclaim Jesus through exuberant praise, and we have to be who we are and who we believe we need to be as well. But is it possible to have these conversations with respect, with civility? I think that's what we longing for. Is I still want community. Mm-hmm. I still want, I still see when I listen to the recording. We're going to get there. I see an amazing gift from God that He's given you and that you're sharing, liberally. But I'd like to hear from you. Just some of those questions or things that you might bring up.
Sure. Well, I really have one question, and that is, can we sit down and have a cup of coffee? If you need decaf, we can get the decaf. If you like creamer, we have, we can grab some of that. We can even have a biscuit if we'd like, or a sandwich, or maybe some pancakes. Who knows?
Cranberry orange breakfast biscuit.
Now we're talking. Because you make a great point, and the reason I asked that question is because when we understand each other as humans, we understand where we're coming from, how we were raised, what kind of person we were in high school. Did we struggle with mental illness? Did we, were we depressed when, growing up? Do we have our adversities? Let's talk about those, because when we get to know people, we see past the labels. And when, so some people's envision of a gay person is the only flamboyant person they've seen, and it's a TV character, right? It's not someone in real life. Or maybe we haven't seen the diversity of kind of how unique but similar we all are. We are more similar than different. So regardless of how politics want to divide us, or different beliefs, or even different religions, we're actually all more similar than we are different. So I think you brought up a really good point, and you kind of sparked the discussion when we were on the phone of, can we sit down and have some coffee and break through the labels or the insecurities or the fears that we have of each other, and just realize that we're actually a lot more similar than different. I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And that's one question that I think my heart longs for as well, is can we actually have conversations? In the divides of this last year, you know, maybe you are in a similar boat, but I've had friends, people that I considered friends, say, no, I'm sorry, I can't talk with you anymore. And it's just like, and it's not necessarily that we even had a conversation. We never asked the question. We never, it was just kind of assumed, and we cut it off because I don't want to hurt. Maybe I don't want to hurt others or be hurt. But to actually have the respect of time. I once heard someone spell love T-I-M-E. And when we acknowledge, and I challenge Christians particularly, if you are a Bible-believing Christian, we have to acknowledge that every person is made imago Dei, or in the image of God. And with that comes a need for great reverence. This is someone that was crafted skillfully, fearfully, wonderfully in the womb, that God knows every hair on their head. And it's just amazing how quick we can dismiss or push to the side or just try to stick to our own bubble inside of that. And so I think both of us are asking that question, can we have a cup of coffee? And we actually intend to.
Yeah.
And depending on your cuisine, outside of biscuits, I mean, maybe we could do lunch.
I don't know where biscuit came
Yeah.
from, to be honest.
But
I was thinking tea and crumpets, really, but we already said coffee, so I didn't want to switch my order.
Right. But that, you know, that's one of the reasons for the collective choir is we generally picked some styles of music as the foundation of our camp that are fun.
Yeah.
So there's just the universal aspect of fun, like that we can universally enjoy, you know, and participate in, but also joy, and also that thing. Really, the posture of the choir inside of our mission is, "Come praise the Lord with me," not "Come look at us," or you know, we're going to sit you down, we're going to tell you how it is, but it's just taste and see, and see, and but inside of that. Music is a wonderful language that crosses, I think, almost every boundary. I'd have to think really hard about other boundaries that it might not cross in space and time. But overall, one thing that I'm excited for is the opportunity to engage in those cups of coffee, in those conversations with music. And I think musicians have an edge. And so we actually are planning to release this single, which we're just about to dive into, this remix from this contest, and I really hope, I think as you do, that it can be a sort of flagship, at least in our city, or as a symbol for, can we talk together when we still have many fundamentally different worldviews, but can we still make music together?
Exactly. Yeah, and I think part of what I love about this is I think that we're setting the right example. A lot of times I think about my nieces and nephews and the legacy that we all think about our legacy that we want to leave, and the memories that we leave to those who are still here. And I think it's about setting the right example of kind of bringing two separate worlds, and I'm using air quotes with that, or separate, subgroups and or coming together because of music. Yeah. And now we thought we had nothing in common because we don't spend the same time in the same place on Sundays or on Wednesday nights or something like that. But we're coming together and we're learning so much about each other. Just because we're so different doesn't mean that I can't learn something that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
you know, and maybe I never thought of having, you know, I would have never thought of having that opportunity unless if we took the time to do this.
Yeah.
And that's, it's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
And I, you know, as a vocalist, myself, I have a lot of questions that I would love to glean from your experience.
Sure, hey.
You know,
yeah.
and also just styles and what sparks you, and you know, ways that you exercise that creativity and keep the fire going. How you've kept the fire going over this last year. You know, these are all things that I really look forward to diving into when we have that cup of Joe.
Hey.
We don't have to wear headphones then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
I'll just bring them just in case.
Yeah. But anyways, what if we dive in here and we can kind of talk through that. But for anybody out there, we're going to be talking about releasing this and just how we're going to do that. So be looking for that in the next couple weeks here. And in the meantime, you can enjoy the top 3 from the remix contest, including the 2 that you're hearing tonight. And you can hear those right from the Collective Choir website for a limited time, and we'll have those available for just streaming and listening and enjoying for now. And hopefully then when we release the other, we'll have open access across the whole world.
Yeah, absolutely.
For this. And
it'll be on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, you name it. Wherever
Yeah.
you listen to music, you'll be able to hear it.
Yeah.
Just like the original.
Yeah, very good. So let's dive in and rock and roll. I'll do this headphone thing for you, okay? There we go.
I thought I broke it. I didn't, though. I thought I did.
Oops.
I didn't.
Would that have been better if I just like stared at you while you?
No. No.
Have done it live.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's TeawhYB's. This is the day remix. So.
This is the day. This is the.
All right, you stop the last one. You stop.
He said 5 seconds in. No.
I just wanted to you know, level it out because we stopped Zacharias right in the
Good
rise
call.
in action there.
Yeah.
But I like sewing. You know, it's foreshadowing. The entrances and what you say.
Yeah.
And this is nothing more than surface level at this point, but I just love how you set this up already.
Thank you.
Rock and roll.
This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day. I don't wanna fall asleep. Sometimes it feels hard to breathe, and then you're with me. And I just want us all to see, the good in us. As long as you accept me, who I am, I don't really care what you believe. I'ma be there for you, I'm just trying to live. I'ma take care for you, everybody's here for you. This is the day.
So I didn't want to cut it out because it was, you
Yeah.
know, the build up at the end of the
Right,
verse
right.
is really powerful in my opinion. But so I just wanted, yeah. So I said this before, but that whole first part was just one take. I didn't write anything down. I just felt really inspired, and maybe it was the coffee that I had that morning. Full circle. Yeah, right, in the crumpets. But I was thinking about, okay, how do I fit into this song, right? And
Yeah.
with my style and who I am, and really what I believe is if you're not doing any harm to anyone else, so be it, you know. And but really what I wanted to convey in here in some of the lyrics is we might believe different things, but I'm still here for you. I still love you, and I'm still gonna love you regardless of what, you know, what might be happening. And so that was really what that verse was about, was kind of my uncertainty that, you know, that we had talked about as well, of like, how do I fit in here? But either way, whatever you believe in, you know, all that stuff, I'm here for you. We're all here for you. And then the chorus comes in, you know, the choir comes in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And just as an admonishment, I think to anyone who subscribes to Jesus, did you hear that? I mean, you know, the type of love that we're supposed to have for one another. I mean, they're supposed to know us by our love for one another as believers, but also, but how we are to be, our discourse, even with people that we disregard, people that cussed you out on Facebook. You know, what are we supposed to be doing? Blessing, and being there, like, you know, turning the other cheek, but also like, engaging in this, like, hey, I'm not going away. And you know, if you're hungry, I'm going to give you something to eat, and if you're thirsty, give you something to drink. And I just that just speaks really powerfully to that. So. Thanks for sharing that. But I also love the conversational, almost like stream of consciousness that invites.
Literally, yeah.
Literally is, and you didn't even have to make it sound that way. But but it really came from the heart and sounded natural. And I love that speech-like quality. Yeah, go for it.
I would like to also add something more.
Yeah.
I feel like, coming off what you guys saying, that when, you know, someone's just struggling, everybody's been through struggle, and I think no matter what color, race, creed, whatever you want to, you know, generalize everything, the one thing there's few things we do have in common. We bleed, we all feel pain, and we all want to feel accepted or loved. And I think it's really important as a community, because what I've realized is that a person can radically change viewpoints. I wouldn't say like change who they are per se, but like change how people view each other through someone by someone who you least expect it to be. And I feel like being a Christian or being part of the LGBTQ community, that coming together, you guys can see a different viewpoint that could like be like, oh, we do bleed the same, we do have feelings, we are human.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
We might put on our shoes differently, or we might, you know, make our beds differently, or, you know, whatever. But like you said, I mean, we all feel pain, we all feel love. I also think a lot of times when people hold on to hate and resentment, it ends up hurting the energy that then they give out. So if we're holding on to hatred and resentment, and we have ill will towards others, now that bleeds into our relationships and our friends, and it's affecting them as well. So the energy that we're presenting and giving out is then reciprocating with everybody else. So
Yeah. And just as an aside, I actually probably could benefit from knowing how to put my shoes on different. Because I just discovered a hole from having the tension too tight on the bottom.
you got to do the slip-ons. I do the no ties. They fit on perfectly.
We've seen those new shoes.
Well, right. I creased the kicks. Yeah. Well, let's keep listening here.
What you made? This is the day. Go to church now. I will rejoice. I will rejoice. I will rejoice and be glad again. This is the day. It's the day. This is my day. Life is short, won't last forever. No, it won't. Waking up born on a new day. I'm feeling so fresh, no toothpaste. So sweet, gotta whip it with the Kool-Aid. Hey, mix it up, yeah. Woke up today and I told all my secrets. Gotta take a chance if you wanna be at peace with everything suddenly falling to pieces. Oh, no crease on my sneakers, coming be alone on my teacup. Stressed out now, running on low, no, I gotta keep going. Ain't with it if it ain't tough. Yeah, past the point of no return. No regrets, I'm more concerned with making rights from all my wrongs. Overdue to make a change, yeah. This is the day. It's the day. It's the day. It's the day. This is the day.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Okay.
you were gonna say something, right?
Yeah, okay. Like, I can still barely.
Well, I understand. Sorry about that.
But, like, I vaguely heard something like being vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like as a community, being the most vulnerable will, like, help you heal the most. I'm not gonna go through my pains and struggles, but, what I've noticed is that if you break down those walls of maybe prejudice or fear or something, that we can be able to connect and be more open-minded and be more loving and like start from day one.
Yeah.
So we can start from on day one, you know.
Definitely. The one of the last parts of the transition leading into it is you got to take a chance if you want to be at peace with everything suddenly falling to pieces. And you know, I've been in a situation where I've had,
Yeah.
you know, I've been robbed before. I've had my money taken from me. You know, value, sneakers and PS3s and gaming systems and stuff like that. Taken from me. And sometimes when you lose out on thing, and maybe it's an opportunity or a relationship, it seems like everything falls to pieces, and you hyper focus on that one thing that you're missing out on, the relationship, the material item, but you don't realize all the wonderful things that you still have in your life. You hyper focus on that one thing that happened, and you don't realize like you have a support system, a family, your relationship with God, any of those things. And so I just think sometimes when things do fall to pieces, we need to be at peace with that as well, and know that you can still replace things, or you can still make the relationship right. You can still do right by yourself.
One of the things that I think you were talking about, Harmony, when you were recognizing that vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. One of my favorite quotes by Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a Christian pastor in the Holocaust, and I think he died in a concentration camp. But he said that what we despise in the other person isn't inherently different than what's in ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And those classic, finger with three pointing back at you.
Yeah.
And it's like when we recognize our brokenness, we can more readily approach other broken people. Other people that are flawed, and to recognize that. But
With empathy.
Yeah, empathy. Yeah. But when we fail to be vulnerable, and I don't mean be weak, because
Vulnerability is not weakness.
Right.
Those don't go hand in hand.
Right. I just think that we could use a good dose of that, and I think that happens when you're in person. You can't hide anything. You can't edit anything.
Right.
But also, you can look people in the eyes and nod and communicate in so many ways.
Doing exactly that right now. Yeah.
And so I think that was just a great observation, and that's critical to conversations going forward. But shall we keep going?
Yeah, the fun's just beginning.
Here we go. Did you have anything?
Yeah, I just musically, I'm digging the use of space. The filling in these instrumental gaps with some cool stuff, some cool rooms.
Yeah.
I like that person who liked the lemonade reference.
Yeah, You get harmony going. You know that. You know that you're. Sometimes I'll just play a song and just see what she does, and gotta get back to the drawing board. All right, here we go.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? This is the day. This is the day. We'll spread love. We'll spread love. We'll spread love and be glad with it. This is the day. Have fun with it. 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 Have fun with it.
I wanted to cut that, but I just wanted to be known that I wanted to cut that part. But Justin didn't let me. It was like, wow! And it was like totally impromptu, and I wanted to cut it. I still do, but it's there, so whatever.
But you were feeling it.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm feeling it, it's not necessarily the cleanest take, but it carries a certain emotional weight.
Yeah.
And you know, I get it. You know, we're our own worst critic, but
Talking about vulnerability.
yeah.
You know, leaving something in there that you didn't really want to keep in there, but I remember being like, cut that. I turned around, I was like, cut that. And he was like, no.
That's why it's nice to be around others.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep.
And great job on that.
They see value in ourselves we miss.
Yeah.
One of a dear friend of mine who's also part of the collective choir says that if you cringe at like you God-given a gift that God given you, you cringe. Like, okay, wait. If you cringe at like your voice or something that you didn't like about yourself, then you're cringing at the gift that God has given you.
Wow, okay.
That is my 2 cents.
I resonate with that because it's funny how maybe I don't like something or I don't like the way that something sounds, but then somebody else does and they like it, or like I don't like this song, but somebody else does. You know, just the same.
Yeah.
Just subjective taste.
Yeah.
And insecurities, you know, that we have in ourselves.
Absolutely. Here we go.
What they say? Woo! Y'all crushing it, hey. Y'all crushing it, hey, hey. This is the day. You know it is, you know it is. Yes, you made it, yes, you made it. Woo! You say what? Got me feeling in my stomach, feeling in my heart. Lord has. This is the day. Hey, are you happy that I was done? No. This is the day. This is the day.
Well, Justin, if you're watching this, I have a few questions for you because that collaboration was just awesome. Of course, you need great musicianship, but we also need to thank the engineers and the producers that really make that shine. Nice job. And I have some very specific questions about your vocal chain that I'd like to bring into it. In our recordings, I really feel with the collective choir, that's one area that I'd really like to grow, is making the front, the people that are carrying the weight. Some songs are just the choir, and you see, you really have to bring them forward. But bringing the voices out, and as long as you got the technology and the pop sensibility, why not? Like, let it rip. And I love all of the different filters that you put on certain sections to bring out different inflections. And, that was just great. So I'm coming after you, Justin.
He's brilliant.
Yeah. How much have you worked with Justin?
Well, I'm working on a collaboration album with him and another artist in the area, Miles Boulevard.
Oh yeah, I saw some of your videos already with Miles.
Yeah. Justin he's done some of my mastering. Him and I worked on a song called "Taking Up Space" that we have a music video out with. It's like a Scooby-Doo themed music video. That we actually shot at Carson Park. And then he's done a couple other stuff, a song called "Sharpie." But yeah, he's one of my go-to guys for sure.
Yeah, well, that sounds great. I also want to say thank you to some of our other tech people that have been helping with this process. First of all, Julie, thank you for being here tonight.
Julie!
On really kind of a day off, but we're so thankful.
And it's Friday?
Yeah, and it's
Julie, are you missing fish fry right now for this? I mean, we could go to Corden House right after this as well. Ooh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
Yeah. But Julie's just been so supportive in all of this. The choir wintering here at Valley Brook and engaged in a few different ways here. But she really it comes with a servant's heart, and I just thank you so much for what you're contributing to the community and to Valley Brook Church too. We're collaborating on the YOLO box, and so I think Valley Brook's actually we bought during COVID so that we can share stuff with our rehearsals live. We bought the YOLO box, and so we're collaborating over how to use that live in the parks, and so we're excited to expand our horizons together and collaborate that way. Terry Godshaw is another tech person that I want to you have put in so much work to getting our website ready for this whole remix contest. What are we doing? A remix contest in Eau Claire? But I really believe this was a gift from God, and being able to engage with who God brought along, but all of the opportunities and just making our website ready for that, and going through the hoops, doing the research, even down to streaming right now live on collectivechoir.org, and you can probably be expecting more live streams to be channeled to the website. So if you're ever confused, like, I don't know where to go to see what's going on with the Collective Choir, you can just go right there to our live stream page, and you'll see what's going on. So Terry, thank you. Staying up late, way past your bedtime, multiple nights. And they have a giant dog that gets him up early in the morning. So it's like...
Got to work around that schedule.
Yeah. He maintains our website too. So thank you so much. And thank you to, Zechariah. Thank you for all of the work that you put in helping push this single along to get to that point. And the other people that we're starting to collaborate with, Dawson, Redanius, trumpet. That's what you're hearing here. He really made it shine. Actually, Harmony, it was your sister, Naomi.
My little sister, Naomi,
and I
suggested such a thing.
Oh, yeah. And she listens to all sorts of music. So I'm like, Naomi, tell me, what do you hear? And she's like, it needs trumpet.
Most songs do.
She has a good producer ear.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Peer pressuring her to.
Yeah, we are. So Naomi, we're vouching for you right now.
I love you, sis.
I'm vouching for you too.
Yeah.
I'm definitely throwing the vouch in there.
Yeah.
The vouch.
Yeah.
And the snaps.
Yeah. So nice job, Naomi, pulling in Dawson, and that really opened up, and it really was an answer to prayer. I've been asking the Lord, how can we expand this process? Because music is way better in community, even in the recording process and all of that. So thank you for all of that. Thank you for all of our donors as well, who are believing in us and pulling for us in this season, who've been backing us, especially the monthly partners and the prayer partners that have been with us this whole season. You've been the backbone of what's allowed me to continue in this position and allowed us to expand to other opportunities as well. So just giving thanks for all of that. And I thank God who gives us life and breath. And this music, this wonderful language, to be able to communicate together, to communicate with Him and communicate what's in the soul. Do you have any last things you want to share, Tyler, about upcoming things or whatever?
I don't want to say too much, but if you do enjoy the sound and the music, definitely stay tuned and support us when we do release it together. Like I said, it'll be on all platforms. Again, my name is TeawhYB. That's TeawhYB. TeawhYB.com, all over Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. So, just really grateful for the opportunity to come and talk with you and meet new friends and get to share in this experience. It's kind of like a once in a lifetime thing, and I'm so glad that we all took a leap of faith.
Yeah, absolutely. Zechariah, do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
All right.
He said there's power in silence.
Yeah. Well, if you're interested in anything to do with what's happening with our missional music community, the Collective Choir, you can visit us at www.collectivechoir.org. We're on Facebook, YouTube. Like and subscribe. Help us out that way. I'm not really tech savvy, but any help and encouragement with the algorithms is great, just to getting the message out. If you want to join us live, we rehearse every Monday from 6 to 7:30. While it's nice weather, we're at Phoenix Park by the High Five dog statue. Just come on down. Don't be offended if one of our members just shoves a folder in your hand. Everybody's welcome. Otherwise, if you have any questions, you can always email info@collectivechoir.org. And we go from there. So thanks for joining us for this interview, and please share this, because we really believe that some of the things that we were able to talk about would be very encouraging to people today. Go on, God bless you, and we'll talk to you later.
Lord, we pray according to your word in Isaiah 45, that your heavens would rain down your righteousness. Let the clouds shower it down. Let the earth open up. Let salvation spring up. Let righteousness flourish with it. For you, the Lord, you created it. Lord, establish your kingdom here in this place. We want you to reign in this place.